Thank you both for coming in. The Columbian is welcome to, or pleased to welcome candidates for Clark County Clerk. Just a couple of housekeeping things. I'm Greg Jane, the editorial page editor, and I believe you met the other editorial board members. Just so you know, reporter Jake Thomas is sitting in on this meeting. Won't be asking questions here, but he might want to speak with you afterwards. We are videotaping this. We will post it unedited on our website for the benefit of our readers. And I think, did anything else? We will move forward then. We will start with introductions. Take just 1 to 2 minutes to give us a brief introduction, a little bit about your background and why you were running for this position, and then we will move on to specific issues to do with the office and this race. And we'll start with Scott.
So I'm Scott Weber. I'm the Clark County Clerk. I've been in office almost 8 years now. Since taking office, one of the biggest things we've done is made documentation available instantaneous from the time it hits the counter. Usually there's a window of about 20 minutes to 2 hours, and those documents are available, which provides to our customers that have electronic access to those documents much quicker viewing of those documents. The biggest thing moving forward for the clerk's office is we're getting a computer replacement that's coming up, and it's been 2 years of preparation, and we're down to just a few short weeks, and we will be going live with that. And so some of us are excited, some of us are not so excited, but whatever outcome that may be, this is what we have to do to move forward with the state's records. So,
does that replace LibertyNet?
So LibertyNet is separated separately.
Oh, okay.
And so we have an upgrade with that we'll have. So that's
Great, thank you. Barbara?
I have lived in Clark County most of my life. We moved here when I was 1. My dad got a job at Alcoa, and we moved out here from Montana. I've been at the prosecutor's office for 17 years, and I have been a shop steward with Local 11. I'm the president of Local 11, and I've been a shop steward for the clerk's office for a little over 12 years. So I know the people, I know the jobs, and I know the office and how it should and should not run. So I'll be ready to lead from day one. What led me to run for the office was members coming to me and saying, I hate coming to work in the morning, and can you help me find somewhere outside of the clerk's office to transfer to. The morale, the morale, the spirit in the office is awful. We are not allowed to talk to each other. We're not allowed to cooperate with each other. We're not allowed to help each other. So that basically was what spurred me to run.
Barbara, what's your position there?
At the prosecutor's office, I'm a legal secretary.
Okay, thank you. And I think you both mentioned some issues that we'll want to get into, but I want to start with, there has been an issue regarding the facilitator's office and the future of that within the clerk's office. Barbara, very briefly, can you give us the nuts and bolts, explain what is going on there?
So I brought that issue to Jake early on. That was brought up as a budgeting issue. It was put into Mr. Weber's budget as a potential to be cut as early as June, but definitely by the end of the year. One person was going to retire, and that was going to be cut by, by attrition. The other person was basically given the option to transfer back into the main office into a different position. And then they were going to close the office there were talks with the union and with HR to plan for layoffs in that way.
So there's 2 positions only? So that's a department of 2?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Weber went to bench bar in June and announced that as his position for his budget cuts for his office. So that was basically done. I believe that it was my bringing it to the public's attention and the blowback from the public is what saved the office. There was a letter from the court administrator and the Superior Court, the lead Superior Court judge, shortly after that to the budget office, basically saying this is not a good decision. You can't cut that office. It's a very necessary office to the citizens of the county. And now the budget office has made it so that the office that was being lost through, or the position that was being lost through attrition, is now being saved, and the office is not being cut.
So how many people how many people does that affect if that office is closed?
The office sees on average 300 citizens a month.
Okay.
Scott, moving on with that, it is, first of all, is that accurate how she portrayed it? What's your perception?
Not exactly. So as it stands right now, it's still under consideration for the county council to review. But after talking with the county manager, Sean Hennessy, that there's been changes in, there's potential, there was a property that was sold. The shortcoming of the budget is not as drastic as what they thought. It might be looking at the next cycle. So what that does is gives me an opportunity to go ahead and just hire for the second position. So we're only filling one position at this point, so two total. One of the biggest things out of this is that it doesn't. He said it does not look like they're going to do a mandate across the board. If there are cuts, it's going to be selective, is what, at least what he's offering up, I think, on his suggestion. So at that point, it doesn't look like our office would be at risk of actually having to make any cuts. So we were able to protect what we have. It's just with uncertainty that we wanted to make sure that we were in the best position going live with this new system. I have a finite amount of people to put this into place, and so that's where I'm.
So at this point, can you say unequivocally that the facilitator's office will remain intact next year, or is it still up in the air?
I would say yes. That's why I'm going to fill the position, is that we're going to move forward with it. You know, if our hands pushed at that point, I will go forward and as I said all along, that this is an important position, but this is one of the positions that is at the point where it is not mandated to fulfill the duties of the clerk, but it is a very important position.
I'm just curious about the budget number I saw for $380,000 for 2 people.
So that's what we have down as budgeted, but I'm not positive. Majority of that we're not spending.
Oh, so is that all salary?
I have the numbers on me, but you know, the salary and benefits of that office are let's see. So the facilitators is $265,000, and benefits is $118,000. That's on a biennium budget
For 2 people.
For 2 people.
Are those are highly paid positions, aren't they?
I don't know if I'd say they're highly paid, but that's what we have budgeted for.
Well, you said that's a biennium, so that's for 2 years.
It's for 2 years. Okay, that makes a little more sense.
So just curious, if you serve 300 citizens a month, and let's say this your hands are forced to,
Mhm.
what happens to those 300 people? I mean, what do they do?
So there's other means that, potential, I mean, we have seminars that we've had put together that were a monthly seminar for divorces. We can increase those. Those things are, a lot of times are done after hours. So we have volunteer attorneys that have worked with us to provide those, and we would ramp that up to provide more support through the Clark County Bar. That would be my direction that I would do, because there is a need. And currently right now, we do have quite a few attorneys that volunteer. They come to court, they fill out orders, they help process through on the pro se docket. So we do have coverage that probably you didn't know about that we did put in place.
But who are the 300 people? I mean, are they these low-income people? Are they people that need?
No, yeah, since we don't actually take that information on their needs, but what I can tell you is that they're average people that just need help filling out their forms, and even the smartest person that I know, when they're filling out the forms, it involves emotion, so they help navigate step by step, so you can actually complete it instead of leaving it incomplete. So we always encourage that they try to fill it out as complete as possible, and then they'll bring it back and we'll spot check it.
No, Barbara, so my understanding is Scott needed to submit a budget expecting cuts, and so you proposed this would be a place we could cut. You don't think the facilitator's office should have been included in cuts? Is that accurate?
That's accurate, yes.
Then where would you have proposed cuts?
So being that the facilitator's office also brings in a good deal of income, there's also a 2-person office. The collections unit is a 2-person office. The money that they bring in is court fines and fees that don't necessarily go into general fund. They are restitution fees that go directly to restitution. They go out to, people that are expecting that money. It doesn't go into the office. I think that department could possibly be cut and outsourced. It's possible there are other ways to save money. I haven't delved really deeply into it yet.
Now, do you know offhand, in total, what's the annual budget for the clerk's office?
I don't have that number on me. I'm sorry.
Scott?
It's $3,628,000. The biggest catch on that is we're going from an annual budget to or biennial budget to an annual budget. So it was at like 7.6 million, so we're at half of that now.
So the 3.6 is annual.
Correct. Which there were some advantages to having a biennium budget. A lot of times at the start of the budget, we'll pick a project that we need to have more temp money for, and we'll spend into the next year, and then we'll slow that pace down for the second year, but we'll able to complete that whole project. One of them is to clear off as many shelves as possible of records as we go with our paperless project. So we had to do that case type 2 civil and case type 3 domestic, so that all of our documents are only available online. So it's kind of pushing the hand to get where we need to be and going paperless.
Barbara, do you think they've made adequate progress on the paperless project? How would you assess that?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's been fine. It's not a project that he started. It's a project that he's continued from his predecessor. but yeah, I've seen good progress with it.
Scott, how would you assess it?
We've done amazing work. You know, one of the biggest partners are working with the judges. Early on, we were able to get their PCs on their bench with the actual full version of the software. Judge Playfair was the first one to work with me and was able to work with judges, a little bit of peer pressure to continue that project. So with that, you know, we're not double touching, triple touching documents. The biggest thing is what we would do is the document would come to us, and then we would go all the way through the office, and it would get entered, and then it would get scanned. So you were looking at a week to view that document, and that process had gone on for a long time. Joanne McBride had brought in Liberty and got everything in motion, but the pieces were, as we were running two systems at the same time. We're running paperless, you know, and the paper file, and so they had trouble matching. So with what we've done is we scan up front, so that at that point everything goes onto a shelf. We'll check it later because it's paper that comes in. It's 70% of what we do still comes in paper, and at that point my staff is actually entering off of a dispatch list of the priorities. So we're working on the oldest dates first and moving forward. So I don't have people running around digging through the middle of a pile grabbing a document. My front counter doesn't have to make an excuse why they can't find the document. They just pull it up and print the document. So it's more paper on demand at that point. And with that, the electronic filing, now 30% of all of our documents at this point come in completely paperless. The only documents that we're printing out of that are the, there's a couple case types, but one of them is criminal. We're still creating criminal files. We have one judge that wants to have paper files on the bench, and we accommodate. And from my travels, I've been to 30 different clerk's offices. They're the ones that have gone paperless in that, the criminal, they did those first. So it really is a partnership with the judicial to get them to move to that next step, and it takes time.
You know, and Barbara, Scott mentioned he's looked at how a lot of different clerks around the state operate. Have you done the same thing to get a sense of different ways to operate the clerk's office?
No, I work full-time. I don't have time to go around from county to county
Sure.
to do that.
Do you have any sense of other places where we can adopt some better practices?
I have spoken to some people, you know, going door to door, not, you know, talking to voters. I've spoken to people who have had conversations or experience with other counties. I had someone tell me that I don't remember which county it is, but one of the facilitators' offices has all of their monies from the fees and the papers that they, you know, the packets that they sell. All of that money goes into a separate fund just to fund their facilitator's office. I thought that was an interesting idea. There's some ideas, you know, that I've heard just from, you know, voters. I think it's a great idea to collaborate with other counties to get ideas from them. I don't think Clark County should live in a bubble. I think every time that we get idea or hear a good idea from another county, I think, you know, if it's something that we can apply to Clark County, I think we should try.
Yeah, and just back up, where does the money from the facilitators fee, where does that go?
It's separated. It's called a BARS code, and it gets separated into multiple different directions. Some of it goes off to the state that might come back. Some goes to the county. So it goes multiple places.
Now, I'm curious, Scott, I believe you were first selected in 2010. And at that time, you ran on a platform of eliminating the clerk's office. Do you still want to do that?
So what I have found out since then is that being elected and being separate from the judicial gives us a lot more control over what we do. Asking somebody else to change their whole process and then actually having the authority to do it, you know, one, it takes buy-in, and that's the direction that we had done. But we applied the pressure, and from being independent, and with that, that's what the biggest thing that I've taken out of that is being independent does give us a lot more opportunity to make those advancements. You know, it's not that the prosecutors come into us and go, hey, how can we improve this process? So we're rolling out and we're pushing it out to our partners to make sure that how the information comes to us. My complete goal is, you know, that the document stays paperless from the prosecutor, makes it to the bench paperless, and we have district court that are actually, we have defendants that are signing documents on a keypad. They're doing their ex parte electronic, and judges are signing them on the bench. I have not been able to have that happen in Superior Court, and it's not from a lack of trying. So it's some of the places that we need to go and want to go. One of the things about moving into a new platform is things that we're doing today will not happen in the new system, and so we're having to change our processes and business practices, and those are opportunities to include things that weren't ideal in the way information flows, and so we're incorporating a lot of those things in advance before we even go live.
Now, how does the office's budget compare to 8 years ago? Has it grown? Has it shrunk?
Well, it's going to grow because commissioners have given cost of living raises.
Sure.
I don't think that we've added. I think we've added a person when we added a commissioner on, but I think right now we're at 45 employees, which is really close to where we started out. You know, it's between 45 and 46, but so we're doing the same amount of work that we were before with the same amount of people. One of the things by freeing up going to paperless is that it actually gives us enough time to do stuff that we weren't able to do before. And some of it's called clerk's dismissals. When a case is over a year and the case has run its course, either there's no action filing, we go through those and we close them out. We send letters, sign orders to get those closed. You know, those are the things that get to happen when we have enough staff to cover those things.
You know, Barbara, do you think is the clerk's office, does it need more money and more people, or does it have the resources that it needs?
When it's fully staffed, I believe that they have probably close to what they need. They haven't been fully staffed this year due to turnover. They've had a lot of turnover this year.
And that reminds me, Scott, what are your thoughts about what she said regarding morale in the office?
You know, we're rolling into a new computer system. I think there's a lot of anxiety, and I know even for me there's some anxiety, but I'm the one that has to lead it and keep the smile on my face that this will be exciting and we'll move on. Not everybody's excited about it. At this point, we're so close to putting the new system in, you know, adding new staff that are going to have to learn the previous system and then turn around and learn the new system. So we're in the midst of this limbo period.
So do you think morale is low because of that?
I don't think so. I mean, if you walk into our office right now, right into the lobby, there is a maze on the floor. It's Pac-Man themed this week, and they put a maze, and all through the office is dots all the way through. We've got, you know, we've got a pumpkin decorating contest going. I mean, we do a lot of things, and it's employee driven, and so I encourage, you know, that, you know, that it's not me picking out what their fun is. that they're the ones that are pushing, fun things to do in the office.
How many people have left the office in the past year?
I couldn't tell you. I do know that about a third of my office has been there longer than me. So after 8 years, I still have a third, and those are definitely, some of them have been there twice as long as me. So I have a really good base of people. And one of the things is that the clerk's office does not pay as high as a lot of other county positions. The first place that will have employees leave to is the prosecutor's office. It pays better. So then I believe one of Barbara's supervisors was one of our employees. And so there is a huge opportunity. And out of that, the opportunity of having one of our employees go over there is that they can educate what we do in our office. Because some people go, how does the clerk do this? They can share that. The other place that we've benefited from that is from the sheriff's office. We've had employees come from the sheriff's office, and we've been able to streamline a process once we have that knowledge in-house. One of my employees was managing auto license. So I mean, those people are still a phone call away and a great resource. Another employee is managing a position of community health, and she called me yesterday and said, a whole bunch of your mail showed up. So I ran over there, I grabbed the mail, and I brought it back instead of waiting a day and a half for it to go through the process. So those are the relationships that have been important to us, that we can keep that open communication and share of knowledge.
I guess I'm just a little surprised that is there an approximate, how many people have left? Is it out of 45 employees, was it 10 or?
So this is over 8 years, we're talking over 8 years, so
No, let's say over the past year.
The year, he said a year.
I'm not keeping stats on, who's here and who's not here.
Let's say over the past 6 months,
Yeah. There's been 4 or 5. I'm only guessing. I know that we have had several people leave, and they've gone on to better jobs that have. There's always discipline issues that we've had to deal with, and with that we've brought Barbara in, and Barbara's been the person to counsel them, and if they didn't make it through the process, we give them every opportunity. I think that's the biggest thing that we do, is we follow the union guidelines, and if it doesn't work out, we wish them well, and they find somewhere that they are happy.
Yeah, now Barbara, if you're hearing that morale is low, what would you do to improve that? What would you do differently?
First of all, I would encourage employees to talk to each other, collaborate with each other. If they're one of the biggest issues that I hear is that they are not. I hear employees tell me that they are not allowed to talk to each other. If somebody says, for instance, I see somebody make a mistake, I'm not allowed to help that person with that mistake. I'm immediately told to tell on them. I have to report that to management. I can't help them through that mistake. I can't retrain them. I can't help them fix that mistake. I have to report them and put them on progressive discipline.
Scott, is that accurate?
No, we're talking significant errors, and when we ask somebody to, not enable somebody else to not get something complete, we want to make sure that they have all the tools and they're trained by the person that has best practices. And I think that's the biggest thing that we try to communicate, is we want the best practices done. So I do think that there is open communication, that I encourage people to share information. If there's something that happens that's significant, I definitely want that to be reported, because there might be ramifications all the way up to the bench. So if there's been times that we have to call in the county prosecutor you know, ask a question, do we have an issue with this? So we want to make sure that we're preserving that document, we're doing it correctly, and we're not doing something out of the guidelines of what we're supposed to be doing. So.
Is it true that there was a problem with people talking to each other or collaborating?
No, that's you know, that's one of the things we encourage. We have morning meetings that they all get around. They go in a round table and we talk about, you know, things that they're working on and what they're improving. So that has always been encouraged. So there's always a few people that maybe don't want to be a part of the group, and so, you know, we work with what we can in the group. So
you just see that differently, Barbara?
That is something that I am told repeatedly that is different, yes.
And so back to the question, how would you address that? What else would you do differently?
So that's where I would start, is with the communication, with the collaboration, and with helping each other. I've been told that that they don't feel comfortable asking each other for help. They don't feel like they're encouraged to ask each other for help. That's just not an atmosphere that is the atmosphere in the office that is just not encouraged. A year and a half or so ago, I went to the deputy clerk and I told her, I said, I think you have a communication issue in your office. I have these employees coming to me and telling me that they don't feel comfortable with this. They feel like they're having these issues, but they don't feel comfortable helping each other. They don't feel comfortable coming to you. They don't feel comfortable, coming forward with this. There's an issue. And what she said to me was, there is no problem in our office. We just had a potluck and everybody participated.
And what did you think of that?
What can you say to that? That's her view of participation. That's Scott's view of participation. We don't have a morale issue. We now have dots on our floor.
And so, again, what would you do differently?
Just what I've told you. I encouraging communication, encouraging participation, encouraging collaboration.
Have both of you had formal training in communication and conflict resolution
I have.
Okay.
I have.
Can you describe that a little bit?
I just recently, I've had it throughout my career, various trainings in various offices, but just this year I went to a leadership training through Clark College in the springtime.
How do you use that?
Through my past employment and through continued since being elected. We've had many different seminars through either the county or through our association.
Okay.
So did you do the leadership training or the conflict resolution as a result of what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
No, you just did it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever participated in a climate survey in the office? Have you ever had your office participate in a climate survey?
So the county has countywide, and then they, I believe they parsed it out by different areas.
Okay.
And I think that they did that a couple of years back.
Sure.
And then they posted the results.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think I'm not sure what the participation from the clerk's office was.
Okay.
on filling that out.
Do you see that as a potential tool to?
Absolutely. I mean, I do look for feedback. One of the things that we try to do is, what we do today may not be what we do tomorrow. Trying to change and adapt as we go. And that's been all the way along from how we've got to where we're at in all of our processes. And most of them are driven from our employees. I'll come back with this great idea, a base idea, and with over a couple weeks, it'll morph into something that's even greater. And I'm thoroughly impressed on some of the processes that we've come up, and they've done a great job. So it's one of those things that we have to continually look at how we do it. I don't necessarily in my office call it lean, but that's pretty much a lot of all the functions that we're doing. So I'm looking at how many steps are we doing and what can we reduce out of that step. Moving into the new system, it will take a lot longer to originate a case because the state wants more information up front to originate that case. So that will bring us to our knees definitely on day one. And so the goal is what it's going to look like at the end of the week, at the second week, and then I've also advised my staff, just because this is what the state laid out to us, what we're good at is adapting and then making new paths forward on how we analyze that data. Because the scary part is that a lot of reports aren't available, so we're going to have to manually pull a lot of data until those reports are available. So it is a task that I'm not looking forward to, but I'm embracing that this is the new system, and I know that I have faith that the people that I have working for us, we've done it before and we can do it again.
Barbara, if you're elected and take office in January, and you would be inheriting this brand new computer
Yes.
system, are you comfortable with that?
We have not had training on it in our office yet, but I have gone online on the website that they have online and played with it a little bit. I expect that once we have our training in our office that I'll be up to speed by then. So.
And would you be comfortable implementing that and helping others
yeah,
through?
yeah.
And just to let you know, the access of the prosecutor will be almost exactly the same access that you guys will have. It's similar to Washington courts, where you can log in and look at the index side of it. With that, the version that we're using has all of the nuts and bolts on everything about the case and what it takes to proper procedures to enter it. One of the issues statewide is it's called replication errors. This is backfilling to a legacy system that at this point is not going away. So if you do something out of sequence, it will not replicate back to the original system. And sometimes you may not know that until you're back into the case and you realize that the documents didn't flow back. The good part is that Spokane and Clark are the last two counties to go live with it. So we've learned a lot. I'm the treasurer of my Clerks Association, so I get to spend time with the leaders of my association and all of the issues that they've had. And so basically on day one, we know what doesn't work, and we're not going to be trying to figure out what doesn't work. And the good news is those counties that are 3 years ahead of us have already got change tickets in, and as soon as we go live, the resources move up and we can start making those improvements. And like I said, and being part of that resource is invaluable. And that's one of the reasons why I've been on our executive board of the Clerks Association, is that for that knowledge.
And you said that software is different than the LibertyNet software that attorneys use?
Two separate things. So we're keeping our images independently, and that way the documents, when they're come across the counter, those documents are viewable when they come across. If you're a Liberty user, you'll see brand new documents will come in without any index information, and those are the first ones you might look at to view first. That's what the bench does currently.
Okay, because we use LibertyNet here at Columbian.
And so where we're going is we're going to OnBase. OnBase is the same company, and it's their new improved. It can be used on a Mac. You can, it'll accept PDFs, it'll accept TIFFs, and it basically, the LibertyNet is a 20-year-old system that
It's very persnickety.
we have maximized as far as we can out of it, and you know, I think that it's one of the tools that we've been able to keep people with their information. One of the issues right now is a sort issue. Things are not in the sort because right now we're in the midst of transferring all of that data into the new system. So the documents can't be put final away. They're in a temp folder. I know that it's somewhat mundane, but it's created an issue as far as the sort goes. But all of the documents are at least in a folder where they're viewable online.
We'll move on. Give us your final pitch. Tell us why voters should support you, and feel free to mention any endorsements if you like. We'll start with Barbara.
Okay. So I've been endorsed by the Clark County Dems, the Young Dems, the Women Dems, all of the local Dems. I've been endorsed by Sharon Wiley, Monica Stonier, Doug Lasher. Oh gosh. The electricians, Local 48, the
Okay, we don't need
yeah,
all
sure.
of them, but
Sure.
just, so then tell us why voters should support you.
So I am a long time Clark County resident. I live here. I have, spent my life here. I have been in the prosecutor's office for 17 years. I've been in the county for 17 years. I know the clerk's office. I've been their shop steward for over 12 years. I know the people. I know the jobs. I know the office, and I know how it should and should not be run, and I will be ready to lead from day one.
Good, thank you. Scott?
So, the biggest thing is that the process to get where we're at, we put a lot of time into it, and I'm very proud of what the clerk's office has done, and not just in how we work with our customers. It's how well our customers have our information. For me, I've been on the Veterans Court Board. I've been a volunteer chair. I've been community involvement in several different organizations. I've been endorsed by over 150 different individuals. Even today, I was endorsed by Joanne McBride, which was the 5-term county clerk that brought in the electronic system, from our sheriff to numerous other elected officials, and I'm very proud to have those endorsements. I think my proudest endorsement is Judge Poyfair. Working with him on day one when his desk was completely stacked up with documents, and he goes, what can you do? And he was, even when the system didn't work, he was always saying how great it was, and he was pushing it to the next judge to get on board. And that process relatively was, within a year, was able to make a huge impact. By the time he retired, 3 months beforehand, he was doing completely everything off his computer. So I mean, those endorsements mean a lot to me because of actually completing something that was worthwhile and had an effect downstream to all of the people that use it. My biggest thing is what we do for our customers and how we treat our customers. And our customers aren't just necessarily the people that come across the counter. There are attorneys, there are judges, anybody that we interact with. And for me, all of those things are important. And when I get phone calls, I return them, and we try to have any kind of resolution that we can. And at the end of the day, I actually love what I do, and I believe that we have a lot of opportunities in Clark County to make a huge difference, even in the next 4 years.
Great. Well, thank you to both of you.
Thank you.